right. Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, Marcus C. Williams here, and you're listening to The Divide on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. So we've got a lot of stuff going on all about the world and all about our country. Let's jump right into some of the important stuff. So right here at home, where I am in Rochester, New York, Monroe County, New York, boy, I'll tell you, it has been a very active week. You know, I had to go out of the area for a little while, for a couple days, and I came back, and the second I got back, let me tell you what I saw. I wasn't back in the city for maybe 15 minutes. And when I came back, 15 minutes in, let me tell you what I saw. I saw a stolen car crashed on fire. And I was like, well, I guess that means welcome back to Rochester, right? You know, I left. When I left, I didn't see anything like that anywhere I went. But when I come back, the second I come back, that's what I get here in Rochester. It just goes to show you exactly the severity of what we're dealing with, that this is not only something that is becoming more and more commonplace, it is becoming a key linchpin in what the city looks like. When you see Rochester on the news, on the national news and stuff, when you see us on the news, you see us on there for crazy stuff because crazy stuff is happening in Rochester. You know, there was an article that just came out recently. It said, Rochester, one of the top cities to live in the whole country. Who in Rochester believes that, right? Like, if you ask who in Rochester actually believes that, it would be the people that tend to be more affluent, right? Like, if you're working class or if you're in poverty, you're probably not going to say that, right? Now, the fact of the matter is they allegedly say that 34% of the city is in poverty, right? But realistically, if you adjusted those numbers, including the working class and those struggling paycheck to paycheck and those who really are struggling with food insecurity or housing insecurity, you're looking at over 70 plus, maybe around 70, 75% of the city of Rochester. But right now we've got a massive marketing campaign for the city of Rochester to encourage people from outside of Rochester to come into Rochester. And I'm not talking about like the suburbs of Rochester to come into Rochester. I'm talking about people from all the way across the country. We're talking Arizona, California, Washington, places like that. These places where the costs have become unbearable, where the crime has become unbearable, and where the states have become reprehensible as to allowing you any of your normal constitutional rights. But, you know, they're trying to bring those people over here to Rochester because, you know, Rochester has better weather. Rochester is going to be a better place when we start seeing more issues with climate change and stuff like that. Well, you guys, since I had to say climate change, and I'm going to have to say it a couple more times at least, we should talk about what climate actually is. Climate is the weather pattern in one area over a 10-year period. I'm going to say that again because it is very important to talk about. Climate is the weather pattern over a 10-year period in any area. And that means that climate is consistently changing. So what does climate change even mean, right? Like, these are the definitions, the textbook definitions of this word, climate. But can we talk about that? No, of course we can't. But we've got our great high priestess, Governor Kathy, who is out there talking about, oh, now we're going to make it so the air conditioners and the refrigerators can't have HCFs in them anymore, whatever that is, right? And I'm just saying whatever that is. You guys can go look it up. I'm not going to go into a whole diatribe on what it actually is. But regardless, so they say that, oh, well, that causes issues with the, not the environment, right? Because if it was the environment, that would be too much like right. But adds additional issues with the atmosphere. You know how they like to say carbon dioxide and stuff like that, and they just use any excuse to make anything that's out there in the world look like it's an issue pertaining to climate, because it goes into the atmosphere, which is this very vaporously ungraspable concept by most people. Because if you know what the stratosphere is in the atmosphere, or you know what the ozone layer is, you're doing good, because that's about all that most people know. You know, when they talk about the climate, they never talk about the air currents and the wind patterns. They never talk about the the water currents and those patterns and stuff like that. But hey, I mean, it is what it is. And right now we've got 50-degree weather in Rochester. I'll take it. But that being said, Kathy Hochul wanting to go after air conditioners and refrigerators in a place that gets hot as all good get up. And according to them, it's going to get hotter. So if it's going to get hotter, why are you doing this? And the timetable is very aggressive, people. It's 2025 for most smaller appliances like your window refrigerator and stuff like that. And then any of the smaller refrigerators, I believe it's under 200 pounds, or it might be under 230. And they're gonna have to remove this chemical from the processing of it that helps cool the actual stuff down for the refrigerant and stuff. So this is a very serious question and concern when you see what they're doing more and more with these type of things. Because it's not just air conditioners that they're going after your heating too, right? Because Kathy Hochul, the high priestess, has said that she's going to make it so New York doesn't use natural gas anymore. Oh my word, you mean we're not going to use natural gas in one of the states that gets the coldest in the union? We're gonna have that conversation? Now, before we had widespread actual natural gas and stuff like that, it wasn't uncommon for people to freeze to death in New York State. I'm gonna say that again because I think that you guys need to understand the severity of what is a possibility here. It was not uncommon before wide adoption of natural gas for people to freeze to death in New York State. And I'm not just talking about rural areas, I'm talking about in the cities as well. You know, that's why in New York City, a lot of the buildings had a large amount of steam energy and stuff like that, and they were powered by that. But again, that was only for people who were more affluent and could afford that. And we're going the exactly same way right now. Because people that are more affluent, that make more money, they can afford nicer things and nicer stuff, while you, if you're the regular everyday working man, you will not be able to get it. This is something that we need to really talk about as a community, as a city, as a county, as a nation. And we're not talking about that. We're not having that conversation. Far too often we see the left and the right bickering over stuff that just is completely inconsequential, like sending your money over to foreign nations. And I don't care how you feel about who you want to support or who you don't want to support. No American money should be going to fund any foreign country, period, point blank, unless they're going to become a territory or part of the United States and become a state of the United States of America. I said exactly what I said. I meant exactly what I said, and that's it. Okay? Nobody should be getting American money when American people are struggling, and that is point blank. And to the note of American people struggling, let's come back to the area of Rochester and Monroe County, where they're displacing the people that are living here and have lived here for their whole lifetime or even generations, because they're trying to get in more affluent people from outside of the city. And they've got this massive marketing campaign. It started probably about 10 years ago, where they are trying to make Rochester all look like a bastion of light in the darkness of the world. And if you guys actually put that in a news article, I want my royalties, okay? If they do that, you guys, you let me know. If they say that Rochester is a bastion of light, I want my royalties, okay? Anyway, but I'm also serious. It's not a joke, folks. It's really, really, and they say that things like conspiracies don't exist, but you have to think about it. Conspiracy is a crime on the state and on the federal level. Conspiracies are real. It's only a group of people getting together to decide to do anything. You and two of your friends could come up with a conspiracy to go shopping this weekend. That's not, but they try to make it like a conspiracy or something isn't real. And I tell you right now that there are people that are powerful, that are in the money, that are here in the area in Monroe County and have vested interests in this area, that are putting that money to marketing Rochester as this amazing, amazing place, while everybody that's in Rochester, that's from Rochester historically, is suffering. Crime is out of control. Drug overdoses are running rampant. It's absolutely abysmal. But we can't even really talk about it, but somehow we still see the crime on the TV and on the news every day, and they've got the nerve to tell you to your face, lie to your face, and tell you that everything is hunky-dory and okie-dokie. Now, I don't know about you guys, but even if you're not in the Rochester area, you can go just type in Rochester and news, and I guarantee you the first 5 articles that'll pop up will be something about crime or some sort of illicit behavior by elected officials. This is like we're not living in reality where they're playing in our face. We know that Rochester is the 3rd worst place for black people to live in the nation. We know that the school scores are the 2nd lowest out of all the school districts in the nation, but we are the 2nd highest funded school district in the nation. So people will say, well, what are your thoughts on the schools or anything? And if somebody had to ask me realistically, I'd say that we need to defund the schools. And you'll say, well, Marcus, you can't say something like that. Why am I not able to say something like that? All of the surrounding school districts in our area pay way less per student, and they have a way higher proficiency rate and actual people that are graduating that can read and write and do math, basic math. But when you're in the city of Rochester, in the Rochester City School District, we're graduating people can't read, can't write, can't do math, can't even spell their name. And I say it like it's a joke, but it doesn't sound like a joke because it's really reality. It is real life that people are dealing with every single day. Now let's talk about that, because these people are graduating from the schools, right? And these people that are graduating from the schools are supposed to make them so that they have the ability to be a functional individual in our society and a productive member of our society. Do you believe that that the schools right now are actually producing functional members of society? They don't even really want to teach reading, writing, and arithmetic. They want to teach about transgenderism, and they want to teach about alphabetism, and they want to teach you to be a good little communist and a good little socialist and march and protest and all of this and all of that. And don't forget the social emotional learning, because everybody's just so traumatized. Oh my gosh, golly gosh, everybody's just so traumatized in the world that nobody's able to do anything for themselves. And of course you're not able to do anything for yourself because the world is terrible and they just want everything is against you, and you just need help, and you need a hug and a pat on the back, and just let daddy government take care of you. I tell you people, it is a lot. It is a whole lot, and the schools are not a good place for the children anymore. No longer do they enable your children to be productive members of society. No longer are they preparing your children to be job ready. And we see what the situation is with the actual higher collegiate levels of education as well. I mean, we just had a report just came out today. I wish I had it pulled up so I could read it to you. But with our local community college, they're talking about they're falsely billing the county and the surrounding areas for housing for students that they're not even providing. Dun, dun, dun. You know, and this is crazy because this is what's going on right now. I need one of those little sound effect boards up in here. I think we're going to get one of those in the studio. We're going to make that happen. But this is really serious, you know, people, and we really have to get a hold of what's going on. And I don't talk much about corruption, you know. I just talk about the issues and what's going on and how we can improve them and some solutions and stuff, because I like to keep my blood inside my body and my brain inside my skull, so I don't even talk about the corruption like that. But it's there and it's prevalent. The fact of the matter is that we have so much gross mismanagement of the direction of funds in New York State, it is ridiculous. But more so than the gross mismanagement of it is that when the people and community members question the government, whether it's the city, state, or the county, about where is the money going or how is the money being spent, they don't want to tell you. They don't want to tell you. They can't tell you. They don't know. Nobody knows. Like, I'll give you a great example. The Rochester City School District, every year there's tens of millions of dollars missing. Every single year. They'll tell you it's not stolen. That money is stolen, I'm telling you right now. How you mean to tell me that you can't account for tens of millions of dollars every single year? You've got the second highest budget in the nation and you can't account for that money? Are you serious? That's why I say that the schools need to be defunded. And at the same time, They're trying to make it so that your children aren't able to go to charter school. They're trying to make it so that they are defunding charter schools so that your children that are able to get the chance and the possible opportunity to go to some of these charter schools that are really producing quality education and allowing kids to graduate and be functional adults, they don't want that. Because why would they want that? Because then they wouldn't be able to launder the money into their cousins' bank accounts and their friends' pocketbooks. Can we really be real? But no, of course we're not able to be really real about that. You know, they don't want this, the city school district is so in the money, right? And then you look at the school board, and the school board, the whole school board largely is complacent on the whole issue. How many of those people have been on there for more than 5 years? Explain to me how you're missing money every single year. Some of them have been on there for a decade or more, okay? We just got rid of somebody off the school board that was on the school board for, I think, like 20-something years. It was ridiculous. Hell, they might still be on there. I don't know, honestly, to tell you the truth. That's how bad it is. You know, and we got multiple people like that. We also have an issue with people bouncing back and forth from school board to city council to back to school board or into the county legend. We've got a whole bunch of career politicians here, and it makes you wonder if the Democrats are in charge of everything in this city, and they've been in charge of everything in this city, and they've been in every single position of power for 50 years, people. For 50 years, the city has only been run by Democrats. And you'll say, well, Marcus, that couldn't possibly be true because the Republicans are bad people, right? Let me give you an example. For city council, the mayor's office, the school district, and every city court judge for the last 50 years has been Democrat. Absolutely Democrat. So any of the issues that you're experiencing, Rochester, and it's crazy because Rochester is predominantly Democrat, right? So every single issue that's being experienced in Rochester comes from the priorities and the policies that have been put in place by Democrats. That has to show you guys that the Democrats are the people that are putting these policies in place. It's not the Republicans that are bad in this area because we don't have any. We don't have any in the city. There haven't been for 50 years, since longer than I've been alive. Almost 2 times and some change longer than I've been alive, there hasn't been one Republican in office in the city. So when they bring up this whole conversation, oh, Republicans are bad, it's the Republicans. How could it possibly be? Everybody in power is Democrat. Make it make sense to me. Right now, in the state of New York, the Democrats have a supermajority in the state assembly. They've got a majority in the state Senate. They've got the state house. They've got the governor. So how could it possibly be the Republicans? Somebody explain that to me, like I'm 5 years old. 50 years of Democrat rule, a supermajority in the state house. How could it be the Republicans? That means that all of these policy issues, all of the deterioration of our city, all of the crime, all of the drugs, all of the issues with policing, all of the everything is on the heads of the Democrat Party. Period. Point blank. And that's not me throwing shots at the Democrat Party. It's not at all. I could, but I'm not. These are just me stating facts of reality. Like, you couldn't make this stuff up. You couldn't. So what I encourage you guys, if you're listening and you're a Democrat and you don't like what's going on, I encourage you to consider voting Republican. For real. Maybe it's time for you, if you're a Democrat, consider voting Republican, because not only can you don't have to vote party line, which is another lie that the Democrats like to say. They'll be like, vote row A all the way, but you don't have to. Because if you are a real person that has a brain in their head and an independent thinker, you do not have to vote and tote party line in November when it's the general election. You can vote for anybody that you want. The person that has the policies and the solutions that you believe are going to best fit the community that you live in and actually increase the prosperity of the area. And all I'm saying is 50 years of Democrat rule. That's Democrat policy, my Democrat friends. That's Democrat policy in action. Consider voting different. Consider voting Republican. It is of the utmost importance. And if you live in Rochester and you're hearing this message, most definitely I encourage you this November, Okay, make sure that when you go out and vote, or if you go out and you vote in early elections, or if you do the mail-in balloting, vote Republican. Vote Republican, because it's crazy what's going on out here. It's absolutely crazy. Car chases that aren't even car chases, right? Because the policies have been changed where you can't chase the cars and you can't arrest the criminals. So you can't chase them and you can't arrest them. What is going on? This is absolute insanity. And it's not just in Rochester. It's not just in Monroe County. This is something that is going on across the nation in almost every largely Democratic jurisdiction. Baltimore, Seattle, California, LA, San Francisco, all of these places. You could name a ton. All of these places. Chicago, right? Chicago's got the most gun violence in the nation outside of Rochester, which is a whole nother crazy thing. They'll tell you that the gun violence has gotten better, but all the other crimes have gone up, skyrocketed through the roof, including sexual assault and muggings and stuff like that. But we can't talk about that, right? We can't talk about that. But Chicago's got some of the strictest gun laws in the world, and right, not even in the nation, in the world. So they have some of the largest amount of gun crime, period, anywhere. How are those guns getting into the city if they've got such strict gun laws? It's not legal law-abiding citizens. How do we have so much gun crime in Rochester? It's not the legal law-abiding citizens, and we don't even have just gun crime in Rochester. We got people stabbing people with machetes. That's a new thing now. That's a new, I don't even know, I don't get it. We've over the last couple of years, we've had multiple people strangled to death. We got stranglings? We're bringing stranglings back in style? Is that what's really going on? That's not normal level of crime. What is going on here? Things have gotten way too far out of control because right now, violence and criminality is being encouraged because of the laws that are in place, like bail reform, raise the age, and less is more laws, okay? We've gone through them before, and not to mention the HALT Act and other things. But essentially, and you can look any of those up, okay? We've been here watching this deterioration continue to march on. And people are saying, oh, well, the people in power are telling you, oh, well, this is okay. We can change it this way. We can change it that way. We can do it this way. How about you just undo the laws that you put in place that are making everything terrible to begin with? We do not need new laws. We need to get rid of the laws that you've instituted in the last 3-4 years, okay? Get rid of those laws that you added on that we didn't need to begin with to allow criminals to run wild. Do you know that they're trying to expunge all the criminals' records now? All the criminals. They just want to completely expunge all the criminals' records. I wish I was joking. I wish this was a game. I wish this was something funny or insane that I was saying, but this is 100% reality. They want to expunge the record of all criminals, okay? As soon as you get out of jail, out of prison, they want to expunge your record. This is beyond insane. They've got it. Let me tell you how bad it is right now where we are. So the majority of the crime, and I just read a thing on this, on these people, and it was, I want to say it was the Police Accountability Board. I got a lot to say on that. Don't get me started talking about how insane that is. Well, they were talking about how a large numbers of juveniles, I think they said something like 89%, are the number of people that are having police interactions. Now, let's be very clear. In New York State, a juvenile is anybody under the age of 18, okay? 18 and under, right? So that's what they're calling juveniles. But all of these people, we've had multiple bank robberies. We're talking 15, 16, and 17-year-olds. Armed bank robbery. That's not a joke. You can look it up. Like, I'm not able to make this stuff up. I wish I was just making this stuff up. But it's real. Multiple ones, multiple times a day. And nothing happens to these people. Because they're so-called juveniles. We had them set this guy on fire and burn him to death. What happened to them? Again, juveniles. Okay? 14 and 15, I think they were. Maybe it was 15 and 16. But I'm pretty sure it's 14 and 15. It's absolutely reprehensible what's going on. And other youth see this. Other young adults see this, right? Because they're not children. They know right from wrong. They know you don't rob somebody. They know you don't go into a bank and rob a bank. They know that you don't steal people's cars. But there's no punishments for that. And the worst thing about that is then when they do get caught, they get an appearance ticket If anything, now here's the crazy part about this. Let's go through the process. When they get an appearance ticket, most of them don't even, I think it's something crazy, like 90% of them don't even show up to court. Okay? 90% of them don't even show up to court. It's absolutely insane. But they'll tell you that, oh, it's working, it's working. Why would you show up? I wouldn't show up. Why would you show up? Why would you show up? You know, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, because then they'd have to catch you, right? Then they'd have to catch you. And they got too many people to try to catch you, okay? And they know that. And criminals know that. And it's a very serious situation, because people are seeing that crime isn't punished, so more people that normally wouldn't commit crime are now committing crime. And when you're considered to be 18 or under, you don't have a record. There is no record. They don't keep any record on you. The second that you go before the family court, because that's where all the cases go, no matter how serious they are now, if you're 18 or under, all of the cases go to family court. The second you get out of family court, they seal it like nothing happened. So you can go commit another crime the next day, and they bring you back, and it's like this is your first time. Again, I wish I was making this up, or I was being hyperbolic or something about the whole situation. But this is reality. A serious reality that we are living through on a daily basis. And it's not okay. And it's up to you as an individual to hold your elected officials accountable. It really is. If you're listening to me right now, I encourage you to check out my YouTube channel. I'm also on Rumble, the Marcus C. Williams channel. Like and subscribe there, okay? But as we continue forward, we've got these very serious issues that continue to go unaddressed in our area, but it's not just in our area, right? It's all across the nation. It's everywhere. It's permeating everywhere. And in New York State, they've made it so that you're not even able to express your Second Amendment rights. It's absolutely abhorrent. You're not able to defend yourself. You're not able to defend your family. You're not able to defend your property. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. We had a state Supreme Court rule about 2-3 months ago. Maybe it was a little longer than that. Might have been 5 months, where they said that nobody has the ability to challenge the governor, Kathy Hochul. Nobody has the grounds. Not the people, not legislators in the state level, and not even congressmen for the United States of America. So that means that she can do whatever she wants and get away with it. Like, I kid you not, this isn't a joke. Look it up. This came from the quarantine camp bill where they were fighting. As a matter of fact, if you go on my YouTube channel, I think it's on my Rumble too, the Marcus C. Williams channel, you'll see that I've got a video on there with Bobby Ann Cox and Brian Mankdalo, not Brian Mankdalo, who's on there? One of the others, a couple of the other senators talking about it, and some of the assembly people too. I got a couple of videos on there. But also check out attorney Bobby Ann Cox. Shout out to her, okay, and her willingness to fight for our constitutional rights, okay? And I'd like to point out that she's not even a Republican. She's just a God-fearing American that cares about our Constitution and the rights, liberties, and freedoms that we have, and we need more people like that to actually come up and stand up, okay? That's very, very important. Shout out to you, Bobby Ann. You're awesome. You know I love you. Okay, so, but you can't challenge the High Priestess Kathy Hochul on anything the state Supreme Court said. It's unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I'm just so thankful to everybody who was actually willing to go out and to stand up for what's right and against what's wrong, because there are too many people that are willing to stay here, live here, and they won't say anything about anything. And that's absolutely terrifying to me. So we've got a couple of senators and we've got a couple of people that are here that are willing to stand up, but most people won't. And the question is, why won't you? So for me, it's a question of, do you know that you have an intrinsic duty to actually do this? So when I see people like Bobby Ann or Senator Barillo out there willing to stand up and say something and speak up and actually take these unconstitutional things to court, I applaud them, and they have my full faith and support, because there aren't enough people out there that are willing to do that. So for you, if you're listening to here, again, I encourage you to go check out my YouTube and my Rumble, it's the Marcus C. Williams channel. But most importantly, I encourage you to get active civically, right? Like, you don't have to be a Republican, you don't have to be a Democrat, okay? It's just you as a human being understanding that you need to participate in government. You got your city council or your town council, you got your county legislature, you got the state assembly people. Those people should know your name and know your concerns. But you got to find out what person does on what level of government that impacts what you're concerned about. So for me, one of my large concerns is crime, right? Because crime affects businesses and all of that. So we've got two main issues and factors into the crime. One, the terrible schools, which I just talked about momentarily ago, okay? And the schools are so terrible that they're out here producing kids with no ability to see any value in the future because they can't do or perform at any level. Then we got these illegal aliens coming in here that are going to compete with them for basic level jobs at Walmart and Lowe's, and they're taking away those jobs already because they're giving them to machines. So now you got to compete against machines, illegal aliens, and it's terrible. Where are these people going to see a future? And they know that people can work two jobs and still make a struggle to live and be on and still not have enough food in the fridge. Because food's going crazy because of the way that we prioritize agriculture in New York State. Absolutely abhorrent. I did a whole little video on that on my YouTube and Rumble. You go check that out. But it's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that this is what's going on right now. It's not okay. Not even a little bit. So they don't see an option for the future, so they go out and do crime because all their friends are doing crime, and because crime is popularized by the media and by the entertainment industry and all of that goodness. And right now, crime pays, right? Because they're not putting anybody in jail. Nobody's going to jail, really. You know, I just saw this guy get run over and beat up at the same time the other day on Monroe Avenue, one of the nicer areas in our community. And nicer and nicer areas are getting more and more serious. They're experiencing more and more crime. I'm telling you, Cobbs Hill, Cornhill, it's coming. It's coming, and I live right in Cornhill, so I mean, it's crazy. So it's crazy. There's all types of stolen cars and stuff over there, and windows broken out and stuff. Like the Southwest is where I live, where I hang my hat, and where I spend the majority of my time. Cornhill, the 19th Ward, Mayor's Heights, Susan B. Anthony, all of that, Plex neighborhood. I love you all. Not to say that I don't love the Northeast. I love you guys there too. You know I do. I'm over there sometimes also. But I love my city and I care about my city. But the fact is even the nicer areas are starting to experience a massive amount of crime. Park Ave had how many break-ins? And they don't even advertise these break-ins over in the nicer areas. So Park Ave, you wouldn't even know. Like, it has to be something very serious and major. Okay? They've had a rash of car break-ins. They've had multiple armed robberies and home invasions in Park Avenue. Can we talk about that? No, of course we can't talk about that. We can't talk about that at all. You know, it's happened in Cobbs Hill area, home invasions and stuff like that. Can we talk about that? Absolutely not. And people will say, oh, that's not happening, but it is. I was in a meeting maybe last month, and the ATF said that they just broke up a ring of people that were doing armed home invasions. So it is real, people. It is very, very real. They're just not talking about it. It's just not getting into the news. We don't have 1/10 of the crime that happens on a daily basis end up getting into the news here. You know something crazy, and this is my favorite quote by Chief Smith, okay? By Chief David Smith. This was maybe 2 years ago I think it was UCLM or something. They were doing a meeting at the church over there on Clarissa Street, and he said, you know, if people really knew how many times the shot spotter went off every single day, they would not even come to the city at all. If people really knew how many times the shot spotters went off, they wouldn't come to the city. So you mean to tell me that is the city that has the best quality of life? You make it make sense to me. You make it make sense. Explain it to me like I'm 5. Okay? It sounds ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And they'll tell you, oh, well, the deaths from gun violence are going down. Okay? Because they done killed up everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we've got stabbings have increased astronomically. Sexual assault has increased astronomically. Property damage is just gone wild. Like a volcano. Pew! It's absolutely out of control. The drugs and the overdoses? Are you serious right now? You can walk down the street, on most streets in most neighborhoods, okay? You can see somebody strung out. And this is becoming more and more common, even in the nicer areas. Even in the nicer areas. But we can't talk about that. But why aren't we able to talk about that? But as we go forward, I just want to give a quick shout out. You're listening here with me, Marcus C. Williams, on Rochester Free Radio, WRFZ 106.3FM. This is The Divide. So jumping right back into it, we've got all of this crazy insanity going on. And nobody is doing anything. It's absolutely terrible. It's absolutely terrible. They'll play in your face and they'll say, oh, well, we're working on this, we're working on that. What work? What where? People are scared to go outside of their houses. People are scared to come inside their city. Businesses are fleeing. So many small mom and pop stores and small businesses have left, largely because of the crime. And if you call the police, you are lucky if they respond. Because we don't have enough police. We're short like 100 and something police. Okay? So, and 2 police have to respond to every crime. Criminals know this. Criminals aren't dumb. I'm not going to say that they're all the smartest light bulbs in the bunch. Okay? But they're not dumb. Some of them are, but you know what I mean. The fact of the matter is they know this. So they know that there could be a multitudes of crime at one time and they won't even be able to come and get you because all the energy and the resources are already expended in other areas. You know, it's not difficult to see in certain instances where, like, let's say it's a very active weekend time, and in my area, in the, let's just say the Genesee section, right? In the Genesee section, you'll have 30 high priorities holding. 30 high priorities. How does that happen? Because we don't have enough police, because the city council pushed to defund the police, because the PAB board hates the police and they actively champion against the police. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We've got so much anti-police hate and rhetoric in this area. It's absolutely abysmal and is doing a disservice to anybody that wants to be an honest, upright, upstanding citizen and anybody that wants to run a business in our city, in our area, and it is not okay, people. But then we've got all the redevelopment too, right? So tonight there's a meeting, and I'm going to see if I can get out to it, about the Bull's Head renovation project. So basically, they're going to be changing up a whole bunch of streets up near Bull's Head. If you're in the Rochester area, you probably know where Bull's Head is. It's the intersection of West Main, Brown Street, and Genesee Street, and Chi-Lai, and West Avenue, right in that area. So something like 14 acres of redevelopment there. Now, the majority of the people there are super impoverished. Let me say that again. Super, 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 super impoverished. Okay? I mean, we're talking about way below poverty. The rest of the people in the area are generally in poverty or just above, and everybody else is working class. You'll have a couple of people in a couple of places where they're more upper middle class, but largely it's people in poverty that are impoverished in the working class that live in those areas. Now they're doing this massive 14-acre redevelopment. They're trying to sell it to us like it's the hottest thing since hotcakes. Like it's the best thing since man discovered iron ore. Like it's not. It's going to push all of the people out of the neighborhood. It's going to make housing costs unsustainable. And they're like, oh, well, we'll make a little bit of the houses affordable housing. Affordable housing, but with all the new development, all the other costs are going to go skyrocket. And anybody that owns their home, the assessments are going to go up crazy, and then their taxes are going to go up crazy because the assessments have gone up. We're dealing with the assessment issue right now in the city. The assessments have gone through the roof because, again, this goes back to the first point I was talking about in the first part of the show, because they're importing all of these people from outside of the city, from other places that believe that any house that's under $250,000 is affordable. But for people that live in Rochester, $250,000 for a single family home that's a starter home is not affordable. But they're bringing them all into neighborhoods, and should hear people talk about, I've lived here for 30 years. You know, I got my house for $30,000 30 years ago, you know, and now they're telling me that it's $250,000, but I haven't done any improvements to my house or anything like that. You know, I live in a neighborhood right now where the houses on average, on average, used to be around $80,000 maybe, right? Like 60 to 75 is really where the numbers are as far as the value is, right? But we got all these out-of-town investors. Now you're lucky to find a house under $125,000. It's insane. Lucky. And I'm talking small. Boop, boop, boop. Little box. Okay? I'm not talking about anything that's the average size here in Rochester. This is really, really concerning, but we can't talk about that, right? Then the city council wants to play and talk about, oh, well, the mayor should halt the assessments or whatever. You're city council. You're the legislative body for our city. You put a law together that says that we're going to halt the assessments and the rises on this. Make a daggone law. Do your job. No offense. I'm not being harsh or contemptuous on anybody, but I'm just putting out there what your actual job is. You have the power of legislation. You are the law body for this city. Act like it. Don't play in my face. What do they say? Don't piss and tell me it's raining. Come on now. This is real. This is everyday life. This is affecting everybody. You can't get a bank loan for that much. You can't refinance your house for that much. That these assessments have gone up. The bank will look at your house and look at you like you're crazy. Your insurance will look at your house and look at you like you're crazy. Like you've lost your rabid mind. That's not the value of it. So what is really going on? And then they'll tell you, oh well, and the county's good for this. Oh well, we lowered the taxes. What taxes? You lowered what taxes? The taxes you lowered on the and the assessments went up, right? So now most people who had taxes lowered, I'm using quote fingers if you're not able to see me, that had taxes lowered, their actual tax payments are more than they were before they said that they lowered it. Come on now. Come on now. Tell the truth and shame the devil. It's nothing but racketeering. That's exactly what it is. It's a trick against the people, against the honest citizens that actually care and want to live harmoniously and provide for their families or for themselves and just live and be left alone by the government. That's the problem. We got too much government involved in everything. We need less government. Small government is the way forward for us people. Small government is the way forward. And that's one of the reasons why you should consider voting for somebody that is a more so constitutionalist and conservative, because they are about small government. I'm all about small government. Don't get me started. If it was me, I wouldn't take a scalpel to everything as far as the government goes. I'd take a chainsaw. Hell, I might just take a wood chipper and throw the whole thing in there. Okay? Because it's about all corrupt, it's about all useless, and it's about all destroying our whole society that we lived in America, which has known so much wealth and riches and benefit and productivity over the years, and now it's all being ripped away from us faster than you can say toucan sand. Okay? It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. But this is because of government doing over-regulation. This is because of government serving their own masters and those who are the ones that are putting the money in their pocket, and those that are the ones that are backing their campaigns, and those that are their cousins and their cousins' firms that they're giving all of the contracts to. But we can't talk about that. And then if you try to go get the information, like I was talking about earlier, if you try to get the information on this from city council, from the mayor's office, from the county ledge, from the state assembly or state senate, they'll be like, oh, well, you can't have it. You got to file a FOIL report. Then you try to file a FOIL, which is a Freedom of Information Act, and then you try to file one of those, and they're like, oh, well, we can't give you that information, or everything's redacted and you can't see anything. Are you serious? Where is the transparency? Then we elect all of these officials, so-called Democrats, running around screaming transparency, transparency, transparency. There ain't not a lick of transparency in this piece. Okay? What's going on right now in our government is about as transparent as, what do you call it? What's going on in our government right now is about as transparent as obsidian colored concrete. Okay? There's just no seeing through it at all. This is really, really serious because we, the people, should know what is going on with our government. We should know how they're spending our money. We should know how the funds are being allocated. We shouldn't have to find out after some crazy scandal breaks that there's issues in our government because we already know. That's why I'm telling you, you guys, you got to get more active. You got to get more engaged. And if you follow me on Facebook, find my Facebook page, Marcus C. Williams for Rochester. You'll find me there. Or Marcus C. Williams, you'll find me. I'm also on Instagram at Marcus4ROC. And I'm on Twitter, Marcus4ROC, and you'll find me there. Okay? And I often do trainings through my nonprofit where we do civics trainings. We'll do things like teaching you about being a committeeman and how to get involved with politics on the smallest level, which is a very small commitment where you don't have to do too much of anything, but it gets you to start getting involved so you can know what's going on in your area and stuff like that. And also we do things like constitutional things for the Bill of Rights and education on the Bill of Rights and stuff like that, and other basic civic things that people need to know. We do what levels of government you have and stuff like that, and what each level of government is. My nonprofit is called the REMA Institute, and we do that largely, it's at no cost or very low cost. Okay, so we do it so that we can encourage more people to get active in civics. And again, it's not about your party, right? It's just that you are an American citizen and you need to take part in what's going on in your local area. Because if you don't hold down what's going on in your local area, forget the rest of the federal level of government. Everybody talks about the federal government. Oh, the president this, the president that. Nuh-uh. You need to be concerned what's going on in your neighborhood, what's going on in your city and town. Is that right? Okay, if that's right, then go to your state level of government. Is your state level of government right? If that's right, then you go to your federal level of government. But we live in New York State. We know the local level is trash. We know the county level is trash. We know that the state level is trash. Okay? Are we being serious right now? How many of you have gone to a county ledge meeting in your area, wherever you are throughout the country? How many of you have gone to a town or a city council meeting, wherever you are? How many of you gone to 2 in the last 2 years? You understand? How many of you have ever gone to your state capitol and advocated at your state capitol for a specific cause or a specific bill? It's so disgusting, man. It makes you want to spit. And that's the problem. It's super disgusting. It's absolutely terrible. Are we as citizens really doing our job to be not only civically aware, but civically engaged? So right now, if you're in New York State, the petitioning process starts tomorrow for New York State. And you'll say, Marcus, what is the petitioning process? See, that's an issue why we need to know about civics, because a lot of people don't know what the petitioning process is. So when there's an election, depending on what the election is and what the year is, in some states they don't do that. They do caucuses for certain levels of office. But for local level and stuff like that, usually there's petitioning, especially in New York State. So the petitioning starts tomorrow for New York State. So if you're a Republican and you're here, you might be asked to sign a signature to help get some candidates elected. If you're a Democrat and you're here, you might be asked to sign some signatures to get some Democrats. And this is just to get them on the ballot, right? This isn't to vote for them or to say that you're going to vote for them or to pledge that you're going to vote for them. This is just to get people on the ballot. That's what has to happen. This is a part of the civic process, but a lot of people don't know about that. So what happens is you'll have somebody that's usually got a clipboard and some papers going around, and the papers will have the name of the people and the positions that they're running for. And they'll say, oh, well, will you sign my petition to help get this person to be on the ballot? Sometimes they'll have multiple papers because there's usually going to be multiple levels of government running. Like this year where I am in New York State, we've got state assembly, we've got county clerk, we've got state senator, we've got a couple of other countywide races for judges. I think we might have the Supreme Court judge as well. So so they'll go around and they'll collect signatures. They'll ask you your signature for that. And that's what that's for. But a lot of people don't even know that that's a process that exists. Again, because they've taken participation in government out of school. They've taken your knowledge of how to do civics out of school. And that's why a lot of people don't know. That's why so many people have given up on the whole process of being political or looking for change, especially in Rochester, because like I said, it's been 50 years of the same. No matter who you vote for, they've been voting for Democrats, and all the Democrats are toting the same policies as the Democrats before. So you might get a new nameplate, but they still own the office. It's still the same thing over and over again, people, and that's why if you're frustrated and you're a Democrat, I encourage you to vote Republican. You don't have to change your party affiliation, but when November comes up, consider voting Republican. Now, for me, I'm actually running for office, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to start getting signatures myself. If you're a Republican and you want to help, please, if you're in Monroe County or if you're in the city of Rochester, check out my Facebook page or my Twitter, Marcus C. Williams. You'll find me. There's a link on there to go to a forum to actually say that you want to help out and collect petition signatures. Let me know, and I'd appreciate your assistance. So that's something that you can do, a small step, collect a couple signatures in the area, bing, bang, boom, because it's important for everybody to start getting engaged and participating in government. Civics starts at the ground level. It starts in your local committee, okay? It starts at the ground level. And if you guys ever want to hear about what a committeeman is or what basic levels of government are, I do that. You'll find them, or you can message me. And I'll let you know when the next thing is. Usually we do them in person, so if you're in Monroe County, you may be able to come to a physical event. We're going to start doing webinars soon on the same things as well, so those will be forthcoming. But it's important for you to get engaged, and everything that I do when it comes to that type of stuff is completely nonpartisan. It's nonpartisan because I believe every single person matters. I believe that you matter. I can't tell you about all the other politicians or people. I can't tell you nothing about them, but I can tell you that I believe that you matter. Marcus C. Williams believes that you matter. You matter to me. And I want to see you participating though, because it's up to us to stand up and take an active role to change the way and the direction that our nation, our city, our county is going. Because if we don't do it, then who will? Nobody will. Nobody is coming to save us, people. Nobody is coming to save us. It's up to us. We must stand up. We must take action. It's up to us. And the only way for us to do that is for us to start participating in government. If you want to make a difference, what do they say? Be the change that you want to see. It's real serious. We got to get out there. We got to get going. That's how things are going to be different. That's how we're going to get to see a change. And that's how we're going to be able to make a difference. So it's very, very important that we remember that all of this stuff they're trying to distract us with on the federal level. Oh, Donald Trump. Oh, Joe Biden. Oh. Forget them, okay? Not that I'm saying forget them, but forget them. What are your local races, right? Who is your if you got assembly running, who is your local assembly running? Who is your local senator running? What do you got going on locally? Do you got a county race available? Do you got a city or a town race available this year? Who are these people? What are their policies? What are their solutions to actually implement the policies so that you can see the change that they're saying is going to happen? And don't let them try to trick you and say, oh, well, I just want some sort of vaporous conceptual idea, like I want to change. What does that even mean? And how will you get that? Too often do politicians play in our face and they'll give us something that's not tangible, but it sounds good, but we couldn't even understand or conceptualize because there's no there there. There's no there with most politicians, people. So don't only ask them about what their plan is to do it. Most politicians on some level of government are able to put in legislation. What legislation are they willing to craft? And again, this is another issue. We see this all the time in New York State, where they'll name a bill something crazy that sounds really nice, like the helping children hold hands bill or something like that. Some nonsense, right? And it'll be something completely different than what it sounds like. But it sounds nice, it sounds innocuous, and it sounds like everything will be okay. Come to find out, it gives them permission to dump nuclear sludge in your water system. And I say that like it's a joke, or I'm embellishing facts. That's not an embellishment. That's real stuff. They like to come up and concoct all of these crazy names. And if you look and you go read the bill, and I know most people don't read the bill, I do encourage you guys to check if you on your state level, your state assembly, your state senate. They put the bills out online. Usually you can find them online for your state assembly and state senate. And you can go look them up and see what bills are coming up and what bills are going on. Now, some bills that get introduced, they die in committee, so they don't go anywhere, but some end up getting out of committee. And when they get out of committee, then they go to the floor, and then that's how they get voted on to be a law. So you got to be aware of what's going on. This year, on the back of the ballot, there is an amendment. It's called the Equal Rights Amendment, which it's not even equal rights. It's not even about equal rights, which is even more crazy to me, because it's all a trick. Remember that foggy language that they try to pull, and it's absolutely ridiculous, because they'll try to tell you anything is anything if they can convince you to vote the way that they want you to vote. And this is something that we see continuously happen over and over and over again. And it's not good. It's not just. And they keep trying to tell us that everything is okay. And I've got to encourage you guys, make sure that you're out there listening, that you're out there really listening, and then following up on any legislation that you see or that you hear. Because if we don't, then nothing is going to change. There will be no difference. Everything will stay exactly the same. And if you think that everything is okay, I mean, I guess that's okay. But for me, this stuff that's going on here, none of it's okay. I don't like half of anything that's going on in our city, in our state, in our county. Heck, not even on the federal level. But I'm not able to be so concerned about the federal level. I got to be able to be more concerned about what's going on my local level. Because all these car chases, these people mugging people on the corner and stuff like that, how can we work by affecting change on the local level first, right? So that's where we have to go. What can I do with my, say, city council? Because city council is the people that are, again, the legislative body for the local municipality. So what can I do? What can I do about that? How can I see something done there? What type of legislation can I encourage them to actually put in and to start making to change what's going on? And that has to be what you do as well. You got to figure out what exactly you can do to get something different done. So here's the deal. Let me tell you this. One of the big important things that goes on when it comes to legislation is most of the people that are in these elected parts and stuff like that, they don't have a clue what's going on. They don't even know. They don't have the foggiest. And that's very terribly concerning to me. And I hope that it's very concerning to you as well. Because if we don't ourselves, and this is very important, if we don't ourselves actually say, hey, this is a law that we want you to create, this is what we want you to change, this is what we want you to do, and present them with real solutions, nothing's going to change. So it's going to be up to you to be somebody that drives solutions. Like my friend says, what's he say? Be a solutionary, right? And he's the founder of Black Guns Matter, which we can talk a lot about how serious it is with what's going on right now, with the way that they try to make it so you're not able to defend yourself. That's a big deal. We need to be able to defend ourselves. And New York right now is making it so you can't defend yourself, and that's stupid. And I'm being generous, right? So listen, I don't know what to tell you when it comes to that, except that you who's listening, you who's watching, you are one of the most important people that can make change in your local community. You are one of the most important people that can actually make a difference. You are one of the most important people that can change things to be better for the future. Because I have to remind you again, nothing is going to change unless we seek to move forward to change it. There will not be anybody coming to save us. Nobody is coming to save us. I know I said it earlier, but I'm going to say it again. Nobody is coming to save us. It's up to us. And if not us, then who? Right? If not now, then when? Right? Because how much worse does everything have to get? Somebody tell me. Explain it to me. Explain it to me. So again, I talked briefly about the amendment that's going on the back of the what do you call it? The ballot this year. So to be on the back of the ballot, you got to flip it over. Okay. So, and that'll be in November. So when you see it, it's going to sound good, and it's going to be like, oh, well, this is great and this is great. It's not. You got to learn about how it impacts your parental rights. As a matter of fact, this Saturday, March 2nd, at the Henrietta Fire Hall, which is 3129 East Henrietta Road, Henrietta 14467. So that's Saturday, which is March 2nd, 1 to 3 p.m. at Henrietta Fire Hall, 3129 East Henrietta Road, 14467 is the zip code. And that's going to be a actual town hall about what the ERA is and how it impacts your parental rights and how it impacts all types of other stuff, as well as some other voter education and voter registration there. And that's going to be being led by the Frederick Douglass Foundation, and it's paid for by the Coalition to Protect the Kids of New York. So it's very, very important. If you're in Monroe County, please try to make it out there. Again, that's Saturday, March 2nd, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Henrietta Town Hall, 3129 East Henrietta Road, Henrietta 14467. So if you can, make it out, and they're going to explain that whole thing. I'm not going to delve too deep into it right now, but I encourage you to go check it out so you can hear more and know what's actually going on. Because again, it's one of those murky bills that they tell you is going to be great, and really it's bad, and then they start taking rights and freedoms and liberties from you, and then you're like, oh my goodness, how could this happen? You can't do that. This isn't legal. But it is legal because people signed up for it, and people didn't know what was going to happen because they named it a fuzzy nice thing. This is very, very important that we actually start to focus on what some of this legislation is that's going on. Because if we do not, nobody else is going to tell you what the legislation is, people. Nobody's going to tell you. It's very, very important. So it's so disgusting it makes you want to spit. I can't even, excuse me. I'm unwilling to, I should say. You know, we for too long have tolerated them just getting away with whatever they want to on the city level and on the county and state level. They just do whatever they want. They treat you however they want. They destroy the schools and the education system. They try to convince your child that they're worthless and that they have to change their body to be worth anything, and that they should be all confused about who they are and that they're not who they are traditionally and all types of stuff like this. And it's bad. It's bad, right? And we're not just talking about body dysmorphia and them changing their gender or whatever and having all these crazy surgeries that they're pushing, which is another crazy thing that is part of many bills that they've got out there in the state assembly and state senate right now, but we're not talking about that today. But it's crazy because they've got stuff that they've passed over the last couple of years where your child, if they're over 13, they don't have to tell you that they're getting a medical procedure done, but the insurance will still bill you in New York State for it. But they don't have to tell you. They can do whatever they want. It's very, very concerning, and we have to pay attention to that. But remember, in New York State, if you're under 21, you can't even buy whipped cream. Make it make sense. You can't smoke a pack of cigarettes. Make it make sense. You're not able to own a firearm. Make it make sense. But you can make body life-altering decisions, okay, that are irreversible on your body, and then the parents don't even have to know, but they get billed for it. Somebody make that make sense. I don't know. I don't get it, right? Like, that doesn't make much sense to me, and it probably doesn't make much sense to you. You can support the transgenderism or whatever they want to call it now, because people are trying to be birds and stuff too. Like, I'm not joking. That's a real thing. You can look it up. But it's insane. It's absolutely insane that you wouldn't be able to know the surgeries that they're doing on your children. They can take out your children's organs, and they don't have to tell you. Now, part of the ERA, which is the most concerning thing, and I'm going to leave it for other people to explain it even further and better, because I don't want to belabor the point on this, but one of the things that it does clear the way for is pedophilia. And I know a lot of people don't want to talk about that, but it is a very real issue. So basically, it says that any age can consent to pretty much anything. That's the whole concept of the bill, of a major part of the bill. There's other stuff in there too, but a major part is that any age can consent to pretty much anything. Is that okay with you? Do you think that a 45-year-old person should be with an 8-year-old? Do you think that that's okay? Do you think that an 8-year-old can really consent to that type of relationship? Do you think that that's okay? And I say that, right? Like, it's not like we're back in the 20s or even the 40s or even the 50s in America where children could get married real young. I mean, we're in the day and age when they tell you that if you're 21, it's okay if you don't know what you want to do with your life. We're in the day and age where they tell you, let a kid be a kid. That's like the mantra. What does that even mean? We're in a day and age where they don't even teach critical thinking in school. So you've got these grown adults that have the mindset of a 12-year-old. And you're telling me that they should be able to give consent at the age of very low, anything under, like, it's crazy. It's crazy that children should be able to give consent for stuff like that, and also for medical procedures. It's absolutely insane. And again, like I said, that's not even all that's in there. like that's the tip of the iceberg. That's me being nice about it. Like, it gets really bad because they try to tell us that these, and remember, we already have an equal rights bill amendment in our in our legislation in New York State. It's already there. So what are they trying to change? That needs to be the questions that you need to be asking yourself, because we already have those protections. But here's the deal, people. We've got so much stuff going on in our city, our county, our nation, especially New York State if you're here, that it's going to be up to us. We have to, we have to pick up that cross and we have to bear it. We really do. Because right now, nobody's going to do anything if it's not us. And I know that everybody that listens here isn't Christian, but I'm telling you guys, if you're Christian, if you're not Christian, turn to the Bible and the scriptures. It's time to us to return this country to some morals and values that are based in biblical principles and structure. That is how our nation was founded. Our nation was founded on biblical principles. And we need to return those, because that's where the morals come from, people. If we had morals and values, all this promoting pedophilia, they call them MAPs, minor attracted people, and they'll tell you that that's okay, and they tell you that a boy doesn't have to be a boy and a girl doesn't have to be a girl, and they'll tell you that a cat is a dog and a dog is a cat. Like, I'm not making this stuff up. This whole and that's a whole. That is a whole episode, another different episode. But they'll tell you that right is wrong and green is blue. We need to understand that what is happening on many, many levels is a deterioration of our society, because the morals and values have been completely corrupted once they started to remove biblical principles from things. And I know, again, like I said, some of you guys out there aren't believers, but I tell you this, and I'm sure that you can actually agree, Bible and biblical values are the foundation for our nation and where our nation came from, okay? Once we started to take the Bible out, there was no other place for the morals to come from. So then it was do whatever you want all the time. Do whatever you want all the time. That is a satanic concept. That is legitimately the premise of Satanism. Okay? Don't even get me started, because that's not what we're here to talk about today. But it is. It really is, right? Because that's the direction that we're going to, evil. You don't have to believe in the Bible to believe that Satan and stuff like that and that there is evil, right? But that's something that we need to talk about, because look at the direction of our nation. You got people thinking that it's okay to beat up old people at the bus stop. Okay? You got people that are college professors, like the one that was at, I want to say it's University of Pennsylvania, or maybe it's Penn State, okay, that was banging the dog in the woods. The dude was having sex with the dog. And then he was like, oh, it's okay. I do this frequently just to blow off steam. These are the people teaching your children. Hello, come on, wake up. Where are the morals and values there? That is not okay. That is not normal. That is wrong. That is wrong. What was more than wrong than him doing it was him trying to explain it away like it's normal. That's not normal, people. People aren't meant to be having intercourse regularly with animals, or even at all. Can we be real? Can we be real? That, like, and this dude is a teacher, a college professor. What are they teaching on our college campuses? People, please wake up. We have diverged from the morals and values and the principles that have been laid out in the founding of our country, in our Declaration of Independence, in our Constitution, in our founding documents, and our founding principles around and relating to that, in the Federalist Papers, in the oh my goodness, I'm about to go through a whole list of stuff there, man. I'm just going to say this. Read some of Thomas Paine's writings. Read some of what the heck's the guy's name? I'm so passionate right now. I'm all turned up into a tizzy. Read some of Thomas Paine's writings. Read some of the early writings of Thomas Jefferson and some of the other founding fathers. Read some of Samuel Adams, and not the alcohol, but the person. Read some of their stuff, okay? And there's a lot of other ones that participated in the founding of our nation and the revolutionary spirit that founded our country, and the morals and the values and the directions that we should go. You know, like it's very important that we restore principles, values, and morals. But morals without God are moot. That's what they want to convince you, that you can have morals and values without the Lord. And that's just plain out, flat out not true. You can think that you can, but you can't. And I know that might be a hard pill to swallow for some people, but it's a fact. It is a fact. Because where do your virtues come from if that's true? And that goes into a whole conversation about the superego and how do you form mental development, and where do your principles, morals, and values come from on a higher level when you're very young. But that's why religion is very important. You know, that's why Christianity has been the linchpin in our nation and our values and morals. Can people corrupt it for their own devious means and methods? I just saw one of the what's her name? The district attorney, Fannie Willis, get up in a church and lie to the whole congregation. Straight there, talking about she's so holy and all of this and all of that. Come to find out she's a lying sack of malarkey. But politicians will do anything to manipulate anything. Anything can be manipulated. But you know what you got? You got the Bible. Go read it. Go read it. It's important. Okay? And if you're Hebrew, you got if you consider yourself more of a Hebrew, you got the Old Testament. If you consider yourself to be Jewish, you got the Torah. Can we stand on some of those principles and values? Because it seems like there's so much corruption in there. Many of the people that so-called claim to be Christians aren't even doing Christianity justice. Does God live in you? Are your actions and the way you perform in the daily, everyday life, is that showing the principles and the virtues that have been instilled and taught by Jesus and put out there by our Father in heaven above? Can people see Christ's actions and life reflected in the way that you behave and the way that you perform? One of the common misconceptions that they try to say is the story about Jesus and the stoning, right? So he who was without sin cast the first stone. Fact of the matter is that wasn't saying don't judge people. That's saying make sure that when you are judging, that you're judging by the same standard that you're holding yourself accountable to. So the whole Bible is about judging and judgment. Everything in the Bible is about judging and judgment. It's repeatedly saying that you're supposed to, when you see evil, you're supposed to stand up and speak out against it. It's consistent in that manner. When you see wrong, the whole Old Testament, what's the majority of the Old Testament about? Okay, it's about prophets coming and telling the Israelites that they ain't right and they need to get right or the Lord is going to punish them. Consistently. And all the time, what do? Oh, no, you can't tell me what to do. I do what I want. Da-da-da-da-da. And it always brings pain and suffering. But they're only trying to encourage them to be better and to be righteous. But that's exactly what we see in our world today when they're trying to say, oh, well, you shouldn't do crime and stuff like that. People are like, get out of here. I do what I want all the time. It's a free-for-all. We're basically in Mad Max world. Okay? It's outrageous. You do what you want all the time, and you can't correct anybody. You can't correct the children, or you can't tell people that they're wrong or they shouldn't do something weird. You know, you can't tell people that they shouldn't be having sex with dogs. That's crazy. You can't tell people that pedophiles are bad. That's crazy. How far have we fallen as a nation? And then we're being told that we're the ones that see this, that there is a whole bunch of immorality and unrighteousness, but we're the ones that are wrong. How is that even possible? How is that possible? It's crazy what's going on here right now. And it's going to be up to us to stand up and speak up. So what I encourage you is this. This is my encouragement and my next steps of action for you, right? Again, I'll encourage you, please, read the Bible, seek the teachings of Jesus, and that way you can get closer to our Father, because our Father in heaven above wants a personal relationship with you. And that lack of a personal relationship with the Father is why so many people out here feel so empty and they feel so down and depressed. That's why depression is at an all-time high. That's why no sense of self is at an all-time high. People not knowing who they are is at an all-time high, because they are continually being pushed away from our Father. I encourage you, read the Bible, read Jesus' teachings, get more acquainted with his teachings so that you can draw closer to the Father. Okay? But aside from that, also the next steps of action are get civically engaged. Get civically engaged. Something small on a small level. Go find out what your city or town council is doing. Go to a county ledge meeting, find out what they're doing. Set up a meeting with your local representative, whether that's town council, city council, or whatever. Maybe you don't have one of those. Maybe you have a county legislator. Set a meeting up with them. Ask them what they do. Ask them what their responsibilities are. Ask them what's going on. Tell them some of your concerns and ask them which level of government you should take those concerns to. Find out more. Find out how you can participate in government, because it's so important for all of us. And I encourage you, if you're watching or you're listening to this, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Rumble, like and subscribe the Marcus C. Williams channel. Or if you're on Facebook, find me on Facebook. You'll find me Marcus C. Williams for Rochester, or you'll find my page Marcus C. Williams. I'm on Instagram, Marcus 4 ROC. I'm on Twitter, Marcus 4 ROC. You'll find me. Just search me. I'm on there. Check me out. Reach out to me if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, or if you just want to give me some feedback. I am responsive. I'd love to hear from you. But I tell you right now, it's up to you to start taking the next steps, okay? And you will see more events that we're doing from my nonprofit, the REMA Institute, coming up soon as far as civics go. So if you're in Monroe County, come out to one of those where we're doing some sort of civics education. Or if you might see me doing something with the Frederick Douglass Foundation, they do a lot of civic engagement and action like that as well. Come out to one of those events. It's very, very important that we start to get ready to take action, to stand up for our communities, for our families, for ourselves, and for our nation. Because if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? And the fact remains that it's not going to be anybody else that's going to come save us. We're going to have to save ourselves, because if we do not, then it'll stay exactly the same. And I know many of you guys out there that are listening are completely fed up, and you've had it, absolutely had it, with the political cycle, with the Democrats and with the Republicans, and you're just out there, you're like, I don't even want to vote anymore. And I tell you that the most important action that you can do is getting out and voting. You must vote. If you're concerned about our elections and the level of people who are out there and they're interfering in elections, or they're doing something bad, or you think the machines are bad, or whatever the case is, that means that you need to go vote. The more people that vote, the harder it is for them to cheat. Get out there, go vote if that's how you really feel. Don't sit at home. Last year, we only had 25% of the people in our county come out. I think it was 27% in the county. I think it was 25% in the city that came out to vote. Are you serious? That's abysmal. That's not even 1 in 4 people that are registered to vote. We got like 550,000 people in the county that are registered to vote. That's like, let me do some quick math here. That's like a lot of people. That's like a lot of people that didn't come out and vote. That's like almost what's that number? Like 300,000, 400,000 people didn't come out to vote? Like, is this real life right now? The city where we have it, I want to say it's like 150,000 people are registered to vote. It might be a little more than that. But again, only 25% came out. Like, that's abysmal. That's abysmal. Nobody is coming out to vote. And I know you guys are fed up. I know you are. I feel it too. I vote every time in everything. Heck, if there was a new flavor of Skittles, I'm going to vote for the new flavor of Skittles, because that's how important voting is for me. And I don't even eat Skittles, and I don't even really care for them, because I don't like some of the stuff that they got in them, and it's a lot of sugar. Okay? But the fact of the matter is, when it comes to voting, that is the smallest level of thing that you can do, commitment that you can make to participating in civics. If you are really concerned about the elections, make sure that you get out and vote. Go be a poll worker. If you're in Monroe County right now, they've got jobs open to go be poll workers and site inspectors. So if you think that there's an issue with the elections, with the machines or whatever, go join them so that you can be part of the solution. Don't sit on the couch at home and then bemoan it like it's a problem and it's these issues and those issues and stuff like that. Don't do that. Get out there. Get out there. Go to the Monroe County Board of Elections website and sign up to be an election inspector. Sign up to be a site, I don't know what they call them, site chair. I think they changed the title of it. They pay you. It's a little bit of a long day, but they pay you to do it. So it's very, very important to do your civic duty. Aside from that, find out, like I said, find out who your local elected officials are. Just start there. Most people don't even know who their local elected officials are that represent them are. It's very important that we start taking a more active role if we want to see our nation progress forward, if we want to see our country progress as far as policy goes, and as far as a good economic quality goes, and as far as public safety, and as far as all these other things that are very important, including education, go. But not just on the national level, not just on the federal level, on the local level. The local level is where it starts. I encourage you all to get involved. It's ever so important. Ever so important. So, here's what I've got for you as we roll up here on the closing of the show today. First, I want to encourage you all not to lose hope. Do not lose hope. Do not give up faith. Keep the faith and actually get out and start taking action. I told you we've got petitions coming up. That's something very simple you can do. Find out who some of your local people are that are going to run for office, and if you want to help them get on the ballot, you can do that. Like I said, on my Facebook, if you're in the Monroe County area and you're a Republican and you want to help me get on the ballot, you can go on my Facebook. There's a link right there. Okay? I posted it this morning earlier. If you want to help me get petition signatures, you can do that. But you can do that for other people in whatever part of the state that you're in. It's important. And maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe that's too much of a commitment that you can't make. Call your councilman, call your state senator, find out what these people do, find out what their concerns are and express your concerns to them, and find out how you can make an active difference. Because it's going to take you to get active to be able to make a difference. And that's what I want to drive home to you, that you are important, you matter. And again, I can't tell you about all of these other politicians. I can't tell you anything, how they really feel, but I care about you. You matter to me. You are important. And I just want to let you know that. And when we all come together and start taking more of an active role and responsibility in civics and in participation in government, that's how we start to make the changes that we want to see. And with that, I'm going to get ready to leave you guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back next Monday, 2:30 to 4 p.m. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm Marcus C. Williams. This is The Divide on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. We've got some of the best people in our nation right now. And if you're listening to this and I have touched you in a positive way, know that you are one of the good people that can actually work to make a difference. And I want to encourage you, do not be faint of heart. To move forward, we will have to push together. You can't sit idly at home. You can't give up, because giving up is what they want you to do, because that means that they can win these elections with smaller and smaller numbers. I believe in you. I believe in our city. I believe in our county. I believe in our state. And I mostly believe in the United States of America. Be blessed, be well, and remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. I'll catch you later.